Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a South Bend reel. It's the South Bend Spincast 66, and those of you that watch my channel know I don't work on bait casters very much. A couple of reasons, one of them being that it's, well, we just don't see them a lot around here, but the other reasons is cost and the like. But this is a treasure. This is a, well, this is a reel that's identical to the green one here. What's the green one? The green one is a Shakespeare Wondercast, and if you'll notice, everything in here other than the cosmetic coloring is identical. That's because Shakespeare made the South Bend reel, and we're going to have the opportunity to take this apart, so whether you have the Wondercast or the Spincast 66, you'll see how to service it and how to keep it running. This one, well, this one is absolutely frozen, as was the other one that I had serviced previously. And this one just turns free and easy. It's a beautiful reel now. But, well, I think it's suffering the same thing. When the grease dries in the channels of this, when the reel locks up, it's usually a matter that the grease is just clogging the mechanisms and just needs a good cleaning. So don't be afraid if you find one like this in an auction or at a flea market or a yard sale or whatever. If it's stuck, it can generally be serviced. Just make sure you don't have broken pieces of parts or missing pieces. In that case, you can't give the reel a second chance. We're going to take the reel apart. I'm going to start by removing the handle, and as I take the pieces and parts off, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of reel repair, and if you like to see how reels are serviced and learn a little bit more about them. That's what I try and do. The whole purpose behind Second Chance Tackle is to, well, give the reels a second chance to go fishing, but more importantly to transfer what I know to you so that you can well, learn how to do it yourself and keep your reels fishing. This reel, well, the Shakespeare reel I know for sure was made in 1958. And I'm thinking that this reel was probably made around the same time. And what I'm doing here is I'm just removing the screws for the side plate. This is always fun because you can put these on backwards, so take a picture, and that way you'll know that the gear side, when the reel is facing up, is on the right hand side. Just remove the second one. I'm going to leave that third one in. I'm just going to make sure that I can loosen the case. Yeah, I can loosen the top. I wanted to make sure I did that before removing the rest, because if you take the gearing out, sometimes that top is a little harder to get off. Okay, there's 3 screws. I think what we're going to find when we remove this is you probably can't turn this. Oh, we can turn that side. So this one's stuck up top. That's the issue with this reel. This one on the bottom is working fine. When you take the piece off like this, move that anti-reverse out of the way. That way when you remove the gear, you don't have to worry about clogging it. We're going to put that gear back in here for now. We'll come back and service it. On the inside, you can see it's a relatively simple design. You have the push button that's going to set it up, and then it's going to trip down. However, right now this is frozen inside. It has to be because there's only 2 moving parts to this reel. We'll take the cover off now. You do that by turning that in a counterclockwise manner. And then we're going to turn this one the same way, and it's going to remove that whole top end piece. I guess I was wrong to think that I could get that off so easily. I probably should have left that here. Put the gear back on, hold it, and see if I can just keep turning it. There we go. We should be able to get this off now. There you go. That's the top end. This is actually a nice clean top end. This should twist off as well. And we've got a lot of broken lines, so I'm wondering if that's not the cause of the poor performance of this reel right there. But we'll show you how to take the whole apart. I'm just going to put that gear back in. Well, it's sluggish. It's turning, but it's sluggish. Okay, so next up then, I'm going to remove the other side plate. You'll probably wind up removing all that line over time too. I'm going to remove the other side plate so that I can have clear access to the pinion gear post there, axle shaft, because generally speaking that's what jams up in these reels. When the old grease is solidified, there's not a lot of tolerance between the axle shaft slash gear and the inner collar, and that's a long run on that inner collar, so it kind of acts as a glue, and unfortunately the reel bogs down. Sometimes folks will just pick these up and kind of spray them down with a good spray of penetrating oil, and most of the time that'll work. But we're going to do the complete service on this. Alright, I have 3 screws then. I'm putting all these pieces and parts that I take off. I put them into a parts tray. That enables me to know where they are when it comes time to put them back together. Here's your plate. Take a picture here. Know that it goes this way. Take the picture. And then under here we have 2 things going on. We have a spring, we have a little collar, and we have a kind of a carter pin. So I'm going to retract the spring. That'll show you the, I think that'll show you the carter pin setup. Then I'm going to use my micro pliers to pull that carter pin out. There's a little groove in the shaft. This is your carter pin. Put that in my basket here. And then we have this little clip that serves as the housing and the retainer for the spring. That clip is a U-shaped with the U-shaping down. And now we can release the spring. And we should be able to pull the axle shaft straight through. This is really tight. I'm going to pull that gear off first. Now we can pull the axle shaft down and out. You can get it down and out through that little slot there. All right, that's your body. And the first thing we've noticed, of course, is that the axle shaft is just full of old dried greases in the lake. You can do this a couple of different ways in terms of cleaning it up. I'm going to use a piece of steel wool here to clean that shaft off. I want to inspect the gear. We'll do the same thing here. We're going to use a little bit of penetrating oil. We'll use a little pick to come through. If it's a little too much, I'll use this flat side of the screwdriver blade here. So bait casting reels are popular, and they're not just for kids. A lot of folks think that these are kids reels because they're the first ones that many of us grew up learning how to fish with. That doesn't mean they're not good technology and a sound approach to a fishing reel. Like most fishing reels, it uses the principle of a big gear turns a little gear, makes the spool go round, and collect the line. There you go. All right, I've cleaned out the cavity here, cleaned off the axle shaft, cleaned off the main gear. Last thing I want to do is, this is where the spool is housed. I just want to make sure that's nice and clean as well. There's a little piece of wire here. That's a click, in case you're wondering what that is. We're going to go right back in now. We'll put it right back together again. Start with just a light coating of grease here. We saw what happens. The threaded side goes up. We'll bring that all the way through. Kind of comes in this way. Bring that all the way up and through. Then I'm going to put that main gear. There's a washer that goes first, and then there's the pinion gear. Put the washer on. Then I'll put the pinion gear on. With the pinion gear on, I'm going to grab a little bit of fishing wheel grease. Make sure that I get a good amount there because, well, it's been dry. And then that will seat. There's a square in the center, so make sure that you seat that as we've just done here. Next up, we want to take the spring. I'm going to take my glove off now. I think the cleaning part of this is done, and more importantly, I'm going to need the dexterity here for that quarter pin setup. I'm going to pull that up so I can put the spring right in. That's your spring. Now we need to compress the spring. I'm going to compress the spring down. I'm going to bring that carrier in. That's going to ride up the shaft. Just like that. Leave it open plenty. And we need the little quarter pin. I'm going to use my pliers for this. Find the groove and press that in, just like that. And then circle your arms down, and that's how you set this. All right, that side is done. What you can do right now is you can just turn it. See how nice and free and easy that turns? That's exactly what it should have been doing earlier. Okay, we're going to take the main gear assembly now. We've had that in the... I must have tripped that back. We're going to remove the main gear. There's some grease on here. Probably should have left the glove on. Let's use a penetrating oil as a solvent here. Let it just sit for a moment. And try to get that off first with a cotton swab. Penetrating oils are good as degreasers and solvents in addition to providing base levels of lubrication. I don't recommend them as an oil substitute. I think that you would do better using the full-fledged fishing reel oils in that. But again, I've seen people that have taken these reels and done nothing more than kind of squirting them down with the penetrating oils to make them work. All right, that's all cleaned up there. What you want to do is inspect the teeth now. Make sure that they're all uniform. They are. Grab a little brush to pull through. And then just use your cotton swab to pick up any of the remaining. Same thing here. We want to use fishing reel grease now. I'm using Penn Precision reel grease. I always recommend using a fishing reel grease on fishing reels. Don't settle for common household greases and the like. You're going to get a good amount of grease on here since obviously it hasn't been greased in quite some time. Check the back end of this. There's no real grease residue or the like. A little bit of oil onto the cam. That's going to be your anti-reverse. That is the setup for the anti-reverse. If somehow you've removed it and you're looking to this video as a cause, there is a spring that goes into this little cam here. It wraps around the screw there, and you can see the tag end over here on that spring. A little bit of grease onto the main shaft. Make sure that your anti-reverse is in the off position. If it's not in the off position, you risk trapping that anti-reverse dog on the gears here, the cog. All right, give it a good spin. Make sure it's turning nice and easy, which it is. And well, we're ready for reassembly. I'm going to start with the gear side. So remember what we said, you can put this on either side and make a mistake. So just know that when the reel faces up, the handle side is, in this case, to the right. I'm going to go ahead and grab the screws for this. Tighten those down. You need a micro screwdriver for these. So just be aware of that. You can't get a bigger blade in here. And I think what we're going to do, put the other side on, we'll come back, probably take a break because I want to take that line off of this. You don't need to see me removing a line for 10 minutes. So if you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, just leave them in the comments section. It doesn't have to, in your comment section of this video is fine for asking questions on other reels. Just leave that there and I'll try to answer those for you. On this side of the reel then we have the big hole, which is going to go into the side plate. This is the lever side, which is going to push that up and down. Goes in this way. So just make sure that when you go to reassemble, that's what the inner workings look like. And take the side plate with the post, and then the little post shaft there is going to go into the hole. So you can kind of line it up like that. I always like it when I get a nice snug snap like that for the closure. And we'll tighten this one down. So this is, I guess you would call this a trade reel. And the reason why it would be a trade reel is it's carrying another company's brand on it, but it's actually made by Shakespeare. And Shakespeare did a lot of that for South Bend. And South Bend today continues to have reels out there, the Ready to Fish line and the like, R2F. They're manufactured by other manufacturers. Ocean City was another one that was well known for their trade reels. All right, handle goes on. And the nut goes on. I'm just using a nut driver. So back in the 50s, the 1950s, these were made with, not with metric, but with regular US threaded pieces. Oh, what a difference already in the turning. Wow. Okay, I'm going to shut the video off for a moment. I want to deal with this bird's nest here. I'm going to remove all the line. This is a reel that Scott found on a trip to some of the Southern California flea markets. I think this one was in Los Angeles. And I probably didn't pay much because it was seized up, but this is going to have to be replaced anyway. You never know how old this line is, and you certainly don't want to try and take that fishing. And especially here, I'm seeing that it's bird nested inside. It's got all kinds of tangles there. So let's get rid of that, and Scott can go put it back on at that time. So I'll shut the camera off. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, in video time, that didn't take any time at all. So we have a clean spool. The next thing to do then is just kind of rotate this on. And then we'll take our top. Now you can, on the top here, this is your catch mechanism to allow it to free spool. You can put a drop of oil onto the two pivot points. And then we're going to just put this back on, and put that back on by tightening it in a clockwise manner. Okay, that's the inner workings of the reel. Rather simple by the bait casting standards. Just make sure you tighten it all the way down. Just like that. And then when it starts to move the handle, you pretty much know that you're tight. Let's take our cap and put the cap back on. And then all that's really left is a test of this now. So this reel does not have a drag system in it. It does have the anti-reverse with the override, but no drag system. Let's give it a spin. Everything's doing what it should be doing there. Let's make sure that we can cast it. The button is set in. Should pop off when we go to turn. There we go. There's your release on your button. And we've taken this from a frozen reel to one that's ready to go fishing again. Scott, I hope you put this one on a little 5-foot pole, a little bait caster, and take it fishing. It's a nice example of a made in the USA reel. Identical, as we noted, to the Shakespeare Wondercast. And a good example that if you find one that's frozen at a flea market or a garage sale or that, unless there's broken pieces and parts, and there's a good chance that it's just grease frozen and that, well, you can put it back together again. This is our South Bend Spincast 66. Before I leave, I want to acknowledge the nice work and career choices of our first responders and essential personnel. I appreciate their efforts and their career choices. I want to wish everybody a great day. Take the time to keep your reels serviced. They will keep you fishing, and you'll avoid the catastrophes of a reel breaking, well, maybe when you've got that fish of a lifetime on the line. Again, if you like these, please indicate that. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.